Have you dreamed of bigger things for your life? Then you are in the right place. Each week, you will be given tips on how to change your inner dialogue, conquer your goals, and ways to step into a higher version of yourself. I'm your host, Lauren Kubat. I'm a motivational speaker who hosts personal development events. I'm a sought-after fitness instructor, a wife, and a mom of 2 young boys. I'm obsessed with all things personal development, and I believe anyone can achieve the life they want. Let the Become Your Vision podcast be the inspiration you need to step into greater things. Now let's go. Hey there. Thanks for tuning in today. I really appreciate that you chose me to listen to. You could have listened to any other podcast or music, but you chose me, and that means so much to me. And the topic that I am talking about today, I hold it really dear to my heart. And actually, this is the second time I'm recording this because the other night I spent an hour recording this and I was off my game, and I'm like, you know what? Come back a different day and redo it because I really want you to hear my message today. And I'm talking about how to connect with other women. And this is one that I hold close to my heart because I know what it's like not to have a close-knit group of girlfriends, and I know how lonely it is. And now being on the other side of that, I know how important it is to have the tools to create friendships with other women, as well as to be able to connect with women in a business setting. So before I give you the tips on how to connect with other women, I just want to go back to what I used to be like and the emotions that I used to feel, because I'm hoping that that will help you. So when I was feeling detached from other women, it had everything to do with me. I had created this story. I just had an easier time making conversation with males, and that women were catty. And those thoughts were coming from a place of lack. And I had some falling out with friends. So I created this belief that all women were, this way. They were out to get me. But now looking back, I realize that some friendships are just meant to expire because we grow into different individuals. And just because someone is no longer in your life, it can just be something that is, rather than this whole tragedy that we create. Some people are just meant to be in your life for a short amount of time and then leave. And what happens is, by them leaving, it creates a new opportunity for someone else to come into your life. And when I look back, I realize that the reason I didn't connect with other women was that subconsciously, I felt like I was in competition with them. I was very insecure for the longest time, and, believe me, I still have my days, but I think that comes from my childhood because I had a dad, we no longer talk, but he didn't know how to give a compliment, or if he did give a compliment, it was like a joke. And so I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself. So automatically a barrier was created between myself and other females when I felt like I had to be prettier than them or smarter than them. And when I was in high school, I started dating my boyfriend. He's now my husband. But I was jealous because I wasn't secure in myself. So if there was another girl around who might have been prettier or smarter than me or funnier than me or whatever, I got super jealous and, insecure because I didn't believe in myself. And it took lots of time to build my confidence up before I was able to create these connections that I have to the females in my life. And if you are having a hard time connecting with other women, I want you to ask yourself if you're carrying your own insecurities from whatever. Maybe it's from childhood, maybe it's from a partner who tells you or told you that you're not enough. I think it's really important that you put in the work to figure out who you are as a person and why you are so amazing before you can actually connect with women and just other people in general. And the best way to start working on yourself, well, I said journaling. I truly believe that. Put your thoughts all on paper. Start reading personal development books. Oh my gosh, if you can't read a personal development book, seriously, get them on Audible. Listen to them while you're getting ready, while you're taking the kids to school, while you're going on a walk. Literally every day, listen to a podcast or a book on Audible where I can learn on how I can become a better human being. And once you feel confident in yourself, you open so many doors and you realize that there is room for you and there's room for her without any competing, and you can build great things together. I promise you that. So now if you're saying, I'm confident in myself, that's not the problem. I'm going to share some tips with you that whether you're confident or not confident, and we are going through a pandemic, so I know time is a little bit crazy right now. So give yourself grace, but these tips can also be applied to living in this pandemic. But before I get started, I want to read the review of the week. This one comes from Ashley071388, and it's called Great Listen. She says, Lauren is inspirational, positive, and motivating. I followed her on FB and Instagram, and now I listen to her podcast. Her social media posts are great, but being able to hear her speak about what's important to her and help others is beyond amazing. It's a totally different experience hearing her firsthand rather than reading it. Thank you so much, Ashley. If you are listening to this episode, reach out to me and I have a little prize for you. And if you've been listening to the show for a while, or maybe you're just tuning in and you really connect with this episode, please, please, please leave a review if you have an iPhone. Like, stop this podcast and write a review and come back, because reviews mean so much to me. Not only the words that you are writing, but also it creates credibility for this podcast. When people are searching different topics on the podcast app, they will look at the reviews to see how people are relating to my podcast. So if you're thinking, oh, it's just a review, I promise you it truly, truly matters. And a little fun thing that I do is I also watch the number of downloads each week. So when you listen to an episode, I can see what state that this episode is being listened in, and I can see like which episodes resonate with you the most. So it truly, truly means a lot to me. Okay, and another thing is with the Apple phone, just go to all the way to the bottom of the episodes under the first episode, and you can leave a 5-star review there. And if you still don't know how to do it, Google has answers to everything. Okay, so I have 7 tips here. Tip number 1 is truly in your heart want other women to succeed. Look, we need to support one another, and what you put out into the world comes back 10 times greater. And in your heart, if you know that you are proud of other women, it will come back to you. And another woman's success doesn't diminish yours. Another woman's education doesn't diminish yours. Another woman's looks doesn't diminish yours. There is room for you and there is room for her. Tip number 2 is to put yourself out there. And this is probably the most uncomfortable one because of fear of rejection. As adults, we carry a lot of our trauma from our childhood into our adult life. So if you were rejected as a child, maybe if you were bullied or if you weren't picked first for different teams, maybe you had a bad experience in PE, all of that comes back to haunt us in our adult life. But a good thing is adults are way more accepting than competitive kids because we're pretty solid in who we are when we become adults. And, by putting yourself out there, I find that adults are way more accepting than kids. But what putting yourself out there looks like is maybe being the first one to initiate the conversation, maybe telling somebody else in the locker room or at work that you like their shoes or they did a really great job on their presentation, or it might be going to a mommy and me class and trying to create a conversation with another female. Or because of this pandemic, maybe a lot of things are still closed by you. There are Facebook groups for all different types of people. And a girlfriend actually reached out to me the other day. She has a Cavalier, and she actually told me that there is a Facebook groups for owners of Cavaliers, dogs, these cute little dogs. So there's a Facebook group for everything. So if you're feeling disconnected, go on Facebook, Google different groups in your area where you can still connect to other females in person or through the internet. And I want to share a little story. I hosted this event yesterday. It was a Galentine's event, and I collaborated with another female. She owns she's a massage therapist, and then she also does these candle workshops. And anybody can come to my events and meetups. And I posted this event on Facebook. It was a public event, and this girl came, and she didn't know anybody. All the people that came yesterday knew me, and except for her. And I thought, wow, how brave is she? She wanted to meet other females, and she also wanted to make these amazing candles. And she took the first step by putting herself out there. She didn't come with anyone to the event, but she put herself out there. And I thought, wow, that is so cool and so brave. And when you put yourself out there, other women 99% of the time will respond to that, and 99% of the time they will want to make you feel comfortable. Tip number 3 is to ask questions. So be completely interested in what they have going on in their life, and that's the best way to get to know someone is through questions. And if you're nervous about talking to someone, by asking them questions, you're putting the ball in their court, and they're filling the space with conversation. And once you get to know them better, start to actually show interest in their life by remembering things. And if they tell you that they have maybe a sick uncle in the hospital, or maybe they're renovating a bathroom, do your best to remember what they told you so that the next time when you meet, and you can bring up what you talked about, it shows that you remembered them, and it shows that you were listening to them. So that really goes a long way by asking questions and remembering what they told you. Tip number 4 is to let your guard down. Not everyone is out to get you, okay? If you were hurt by someone in the past, that had everything to do with them. That happened for a reason. And if you believe that others are inherently catty or hurtful, those are the type of people you're going to continue to attract. And letting your guard down also means to be vulnerable when you need to be. Now, I don't mean to spill your sad stories onto someone you're building a relationship with, or it's a new relationship. But if you're going through something, turn to someone who you might be able to confide in or ask advice from. And when my friends come to me with their problems, I never think like, oh my gosh, they are just bringing me down with their problems. No, I look at it as, wow, they trust me to confide in me. And it actually makes me connect with them even more because they trust me. So before we get into tip number 5, I want to share some exciting news with you. So if you listen to the podcast before with Heather McWright, she is the owner of Bar Where You Are. And if you haven't listened to that episode, go back to, I think it was like episode 11 or something like that, and listen to that episode after this one. But Heather is the owner of Bar Where You Are, and she has created a program that I know you're going to love because she certified me in bar. And over the past few years, Bar Where You Are has continued to evolve to offer something for every bar enthusiast out there through their ever-growing on-demand workout library, weekly live stream options, small in-person classes, and multiple instructor trainings and workshops. Bar Where You Are strives to deliver joy, accessibility, and sense of community. And I'm excited to announce that Bar Where You Are is a sponsor of the show, and they are giving you a great deal by just being a listener. So all you have to do is head over to barwhereyouaresc.com. That's www.barwhereyouaresc.com to check out all they have going on and use promo code Become Your Vision for 10% off. That's Become Your Vision for 10% off. And I will leave all of that information in the show notes. And what is really cool about this program is you can access it from home. You can access it from hotel rooms. You can do it during your lunch break at the office. So it's super amazing, and I know you are going to love it. Okay, now back to the tips. Tip number 5 is don't compete or compare, but support. So this goes back to what I was saying earlier. I was the reason I couldn't make girlfriends because I was competing and comparing, and I'm so happy that I put the work into myself because I no longer compete or compare myself to other women because I am solid in who I am. And another thing is I don't get jealous of the relationships or the friendships my friends have to other people in their life because each friendship serves a different need. I have friends that I go to for business questions, and I have friends that I go to have dinner with or have wine with or I have different needs, and they are met by having these different friendships. So if you are the type of person that maybe gets a little bit jealous if your friend has another girlfriend and they're doing things together, tell yourself that they are having different needs that are met, and then also put the work back into yourself, because if you're still getting jealous over that, you need to work on yourself. And another female doesn't diminish your greatness. And the latter part of this tip, don't compete or compare, but support. Supporting your friends looks like being there when they need you, or maybe they have a business. How can you show support for them? Well, you can share their posts. You can comment on their posts. You can buy their things. And by supporting one another, it creates a stronger bond. Tip number 6 is to search for individuals who are at a similar stage as you and has similar interests. So I'm speaking specifically to moms right now. Okay. if you are a mom to younger kids or to kids that are in multiple sports and you have a very busy life, you're going to need other moms in your life to know what you are going through, because sometimes I feel, well, I've gotten past this. I just kind of come to terms with it. I used to feel like, oh, I'm not that great of a friend right now because I haven't texted this person in a while, or I haven't called this person in a while. And now I just come to terms with that this is just the way my life is right now. I have 2 small children and they are a priority to me, and I put them first and my family first. And that means I don't always have time for my friends. And by having other mom friends, they totally get it. And now I also have single friends that also get it as well. They're totally understanding. But if you're feeling like you don't have any girlfriends, maybe all your girlfriends are single, or maybe they don't have kids, try to find other moms where you can connect with, because they will totally get it. And also find other women in your life who have similar interests. Like, if you're not really a big drinker, don't go to the bar to meet girlfriends. But if your jam is knitting, find a knitting group online and look for other women who like the same things that you have. And I always say, I don't think I would have the relationships that I do right now if I didn't belong to a gym. That is how I met, I would say, all the women in my life right now are all women I met through the gym. I don't think there's a single girlfriend that I have right now that I haven't met through the gym. I don't know. Maybe I'll think of one later, but I've met every single one through the gym. And we all have the same interests there. We want to get fit. We want to better our life. We want to improve ourselves. So that was tip number 6. Look for other females who have similar interests than you. Okay. Tip number 7, if it doesn't exist, create it. If you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have any girlfriends, I want to start a book club, a wine club, whatever. If it's not in your community, create it. What I've done with Vision is I wanted to create. So Vision, I host events and meetups, and this podcast is kind of a branch from that. And when I was thinking about hosting my first event, I was looking for other groups in my community that were doing the same thing that I wanted to do, and I didn't find any. I found some in Charleston, but not very many. So I was like, well, why don't I create it? Now, it wasn't always easy, but it was something that I knew was so important to me, and it was important enough where I was like, I'm going to create this and do this. Now, it doesn't have to be this big old thing. You can start simple by creating a book club. Start with another girlfriend if you're, looking to read a book. Ask her if she wants to read this book with you, and then you guys can have conversations over the book. Or if you are long distance with a girlfriend, you can do a book club online. Zoom is such a useful tool. So if it doesn't exist, create it. And I have created something else. I started an Etsy store. It's called Become Your Vision. It's all one word if you search it in the Etsy store. But I created these conversation cards where women can stay connected to each other and have great conversations with each other. And I also did this, a podcast with my husband, I don't know, 2 or 3 episodes ago. And it was the highest listened to episode on my podcast, and I asked him all of these questions. And they're something that you can just go online, print them off. I have black and white and I have color, and then, or you can save them to your phone. But if you're looking to have great conversation with other females, just go to my Etsy store. So I hope this helped you. And if you are feeling disconnected or you haven't found your tribe yet, there's hope for you. And I was right there with you. And now I am creating a brand based on relationships with other women. So do some healing yourself. Put yourself out there, even if it's uncomfortable, but know that great things come from stepping out of your comfort zone. If you love this episode, please do me a favor, leave a review, and remember, you got this. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you love this episode, make sure you are subscribed so you know when more episodes come available. My goal is to inspire others to become their vision, and one way to get the word out is with reviews. I would really appreciate it if you left an honest review on iTunes, and it would mean so much to me. Thanks again, and remember to go after the life you want. Bye, guys.